This is the State Farm Postgame Show.
And hello again, everyone, and welcome to the State Farm Postgame Show. A reminder tonight on CBS, don't miss Hollywood's biggest party. Nikki Glazer hosting the Golden Globe that's live right here on CBS tonight. Meanwhile, back here inside of the Sean McManus Studio 43, JB along with Coach Nate, JJ, and Matt, and the playoff picture quarterback.
All right, let's take a look at some of these matchups coming up in the AFC. The Chargers, with that win, secured the 5 seed. They're going to go to Houston, take on the Texans. Pittsburgh going to Baltimore in an AFC North. Third matchup for them this season. And Denver going to Buffalo. Should be a good one over there in Buffalo. And then over in the NFC, we've got the Rams. They don't know if they're going to see Minnesota or Detroit. That game tonight, the winner gets the 1 seed, the loser gets the 5 seed, and they go visit the Rams. Washington going down to Tampa, a rematch of a Week 1 game, and then Green Bay going to Philadelphia, also a rematch of the Week 1 game. So we got some great matchups in the first round of the playoffs.
There's a lot of good stuff going on there. I mean, you look at the Broncos today, obviously against the Chiefs team resting most of their starters, but a 38-0 is still a dominant performance no matter what. I'm looking forward to seeing that Vance Joseph defense go up there, Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, see how that matches up. What about you, Nate? What are we looking at?
Listen, the Broncos finishing the season the way that they did, regardless of who they were playing against when it comes to the Chiefs resting their guys, that's great for their confidence. And I love what Sean Payton did. He said, I want my young guys to go out there, have a dominant performance, so they can look in the mirror and feel like they are the best team going into the postseason. It's a lot of mental that you have to play when it comes to these young guys going into their first postseason, speaking specifically of the quarterback, Bo Nix. Now, when it comes to the NFC, that 5th seed that is going to be decided between the Vikings and the Lions, whichever way you slice it, that is a long road trip to go to L.A. and face Sean McVay and Matt Stafford. That is a game that I'm very interested in.
You know, I get kind of intrigued by a third matchup.
Okay.
Talking about divisional opponents. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Just met 3 weeks ago.
Right.
They split during the regular season. Pittsburgh not playing their best. Baltimore playing their best. But as we talked about before, you talk about divisional games. Throw the records out the book. They know each other. Pittsburgh has won in the playoffs against Baltimore. They're 4-1 against them. So they know what it's like.
Have you won against Baltimore in the playoffs?
Yeah, I have. I'm one of the so
I'm one of the four. Instead of course.
I am. I am. And playing them the third time. That's interesting. The other one to me is Philadelphia and Green Bay.
That's the one I'm looking at.
Because there's the question is the 2 quarterbacks.
Correct.
You're talking about Jordan Love, who I guess elbow, funny bone. I don't know how funny is that bone. And then
Not as funny as that joke, Coach. Not as funny as that joke.
And Jalen Hurts. I mean, we have not heard about Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Philadelphia Eagles about Jalen Hurts is a whole different offense.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what day that game's played. Jalen has to obviously
concussion protocol.
Yeah, pass concussion protocol. So that's going to be interesting. The one I'm looking at is Tampa and Washington. I think both these teams have had years that have been a bit of overachieving, right? Tampa, you consider the injuries that they had at the wide receiver position, Baker Mayfield really putting that team on his back for an extended part through the middle of the season. And then what has gone on in Washington, right? The coming into the season, low expectations, new head coach, new quarterback coming in there, and what both of those guys have done for that city is going to be impressive to see. But I'm looking to the 2 rookie quarterbacks playing in this, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels. Both these guys have had phenomenal seasons. Now they get a taste of what the postseason is all about. I think they're ready for it. I think both these guys are ready for it.
I agree.
Tough task for both of them, though.
You know what? First of all, we're going to get to the highlights, but let me ask you 2 offensive players. Defensive guys, competitive, big respect here, but is this typical to see these guys go at it like they do?
100%.
No question.
It's love, JB. I mean,
it's love.
Do you not recognize it? Do you not recognize?
You don't feel it. It's like if he compliments me, I'm like, what did you mean by that?
You're always looking
like when he says it wasn't that funny, that's what I expect. So
Hey, Drew Kaliski, here we go to the highlights, fellas. Let's take it away.
Get this knucklehead going.
All right, we have got the Saints and Buccaneers. We all know the Buccaneers win, and they are in. Baker Mayfield started it out firing a deep ball to Jalen McMillan. He hangs on, getting the toes, tapping them in, twinkle toes touchdown. That gave them the lead, 20-19. Here, Baker Mayfield's going to get out of trouble, find his way through the pocket, navigate, flip it back to Bucky Irving, who goes in for the touchdown, 27-19. And then at the end of the game, the moment, possibly of the day, just for us guys in the studio, we had a lot of fun with it. Yeah. Instead of taking the knee, Baker tosses it to Mike Evans, so he gets the 1,000-yard receiving for his 11th time, and also, less important, but still pretty darn cool, a $3 million incentive. Great moment for the Buccaneers there and for Mike Evans.
Nothing less important about that figure. After the game, only appropriate that we will hear from Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans talking about that big moment.
Yeah, I mean, the conversation was like, all right, well, obviously we can't turn the ball over, can't give them another chance, but how do we want to formate this play to get Mike the ball to where he can't get double covered? And that was what we came up with, and Mike did the rest, and he deserves that. This guy means so much to the community, this team, this organization for years, and for him to be able to reach that feat 11 years in a row and tie Jerry Rice is it's unbelievable.
I was hoping we'd get a stop because I can't pass up history, and Coach Bowles didn't want to let it pass up or Liam. So I'm happy that they had me go out there and get that because it's been hard to do for 11 straight years, and to be tied with one of the, if not the greatest receiver of all time, it means a lot to me and my family.
All right, man, congrats to Mike Evans, but we have the Giants and the Eagles. Saquon Barkley sitting out, although he was 101 yards away from breaking that single-season rushing record. But to the highlights we go, and this is a 7-yard reception TD by E.J. Jenkins. That was in the third. In the fourth, it is Drew Lock. Who is he looking for? Malik Neighbors, who had himself a season. We know this young man is a talent, takes the hit and gets in for the 45-yard touchdown. It would be 17-10 at that point. And then later in the fourth, Giants final drive, trying to make something happen. Drew Lock going deep, and it is intercepted by Jalen Hyatt. I mean, it is thrown deep to Jalen Hyatt, intercepted by Sidney Brown. The Eagles, they would cap off their season with the win to get ready for the playoffs, even though they set most of their players 20-13 in that one. Okay, we have the Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys. And it's Marcus Mariota, who's in the game for Jaden Daniels, who was sitting out and resting, and Mariota looked good. He's been resting for a while, so he had the fresh legs. And Rico Dowdle gets in for the TD right up the gut. This is a true NFC East affair, back and forth. And then Mariota, check out this catch by Scary Terry, goes up and gets it, high points it, back of the end zone, and he masks up. That's a mask with 2 S's, because my man is a savage. The Commanders, they win this one 23-19 as they get ready for their playoff run.
Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love, we talked about before. This was diagnosed as a hit on the funny bone. We'll see how he is in terms of his availability next week for the playoffs. But coming in was Malik Willis, and then right here he'll lead Brandon McManus down, who nails a 55-yard field goal to take the lead with under a minute. But the Bears and Caleb Williams, they get back into the time for Carlos Santos, who's going to match that with a 51-yard field goal as time expires. Chicago wins 24-22.
Bears end an 11-game losing streak to the Packers.
All right, let's go over and check out the Seahawks taking on the Rams. And Jimmy Garoppolo's in for resting Matthew Stafford. Right here, he's going to connect with Tyler Johnson in the back of the end zone for a 4-yard touchdown. They went for 2, failed on the conversion. A little bit later on, Geno Smith, who, let's talk about his incentives in a few minutes, had a pretty nice throw right here, Noah Fant down the middle. That will put Seattle on top 30-25. Jimmy G then at the end of the game, 4th and 3 with a chance, but it's going to come up a little bit short. Let's talk about Geno Smith's day. Okay. Let's do it. A $6 million day. Ooh, that's pretty good. Hit 3 incentives, each worth $2 million. Geno's not going to the playoffs, but
he's going to the bank.
Not bad. And Seahawks win.
Possibly the car dealership.
And Buffalo Bills were at the New England Patriots up there, and then Josh Allen took 1 snap. Again, you're going to see he comes off and highlight, keeps his 115 consecutive starts streak intact. And it was Joe Milton pulling his own little Josh Allen, rolling right, throwing back across the field. Keyshawn Boutte is going to take that in, but then James Cook, he's been the #1 touchdown maker for them on the season. He goes over from 1 yard out, and then on 4th down, Mike White is going to have his arm hit right here as the Buffalo Bills will try to come back, and it's going to fall incomplete. The Patriots win, and after the game, head coach Gerard Mayo was relieved of his duties as head coach of the New England Patriots. You can see right there, Mr. Trubisky filled in very admirably right there for Joe Allen, and Ray Davis was very good as well.
Yeah.
And Joe Milton was awesome.
All right, let's take a look at the Texans and the Titans right here. Will Levis is going to hand off, but it's fumbled. And Derek Barnett with the scoop and score all the way back to the house. Bumbling, stumbling, taking
Push the own guy out of the way.
Titans, I don't know who it is. He takes it to the end zone right there.
Love those uniforms.
Yeah, there you go, JJ. How about those uniforms? And the Texans win 23-14 with some much needed momentum heading into the playoffs.
And it's been all the LA Chargers. You can see right here, they are now, Justin Herbert finds DJ Shark for his 6-yard touchdown. The 2-point conversion was good. And the second touchdown of the day is going to be right here to Will Dissly from 2 yards out. The Chargers clinch a number 5 seed. They will play at Houston next week in the wild card weekend. You can see right there, Aiden O'Connell, also a pretty good day on his part. And Brock Bowers, what a season he's had. All-time numbers for rookie tight end and for all tight ends this day.
All right, the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton and his rookie quarterback, Bo Nix, controlled their own destiny today. All they had to do was win, and they did a little more than just squeak it out. Here, Bo Nix popped up in the air, ricochet, and he finds Devon Valet with the ricochet. 3-yard touchdown. Look at this. Off one guy, off of something else. Gets the knee down, in. And as I said, the Broncos just squeaked by to get into the playoffs.
Squeaked by.
38-0. They beat the Chiefs back upstairs.
And the rookie Bo Nix, 321 yards passing, 4 tutties, Nate.
Yeah, we call that belt to butt. Butt whooping. All right, we have the Dolphins and Jets. I know you're saying, Nate, who cares? I care, okay? I want to show you guys something. Here you have Rodgers, Devontae Adams, and Alan Lazard. But this is what I want to show you guys. This is Aaron Rodgers' 500 TD pass. This is a special moment. I know these two teams will not be in the postseason, but I want to show you that because that's quite the accomplishment for Rodgers, and it could possibly be his last game. So we have to appreciate it while it lasts.
And the quarterback is all over the playoff matchups. Matt, take it away.
Let's go back to it, JB. AFC playoff picture right here. Chargers taking on Houston. That's an interesting one to me, right? Houston gets some momentum coming into it today. The Chargers also going into that game with momentum. Going to be an interesting one to see. Coach, you mentioned it. Pittsburgh taking on Baltimore. Rematch of the AFC North. Over in the NFC. Let's see who wins tonight. 1 seed, Detroit. Minnesota. Who's it going to be? Who's going to be that 5 seed? Lots of interesting matchups. We talked a little bit about that Washington-Tampa game. Just to cap off, though, how long it's been for Washington. It's been since 2005 that they won a playoff game. Who did they win that playoff game over? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Sean Taylor, fumble return for a touchdown in that game. Long time coming for the Washington Commanders. Excited to watch that game.
Have to give him a ton of credit up there. Obviously, Jaden Daniels having a great year, but Dan Quinn, what he's done this year with that team in his first year. Yes, he's been a head coach before. Yes, he's had success before. But that's what a lot of owners are looking to as they're about to hire new coaches is who can give me that in my first year. That great season. Maybe it's a young quarterback, but find us into the playoffs.
Spotlight certainly should be on what the team has done, but I maintain it always starts at the top. And ownership and leadership did a superb job there. And now we see, as Matt says, they were a year ahead of time. All right, folks. And a reminder, coming up at 8:20 Eastern time over on NBC, the Vikings visiting the Lions for the NFC's top seed, which will be on the line. So talking a little, hey, Coach, again, let's put this in perspective. What Coach Sean Payton did with those Broncos. I remember him saying, I'll tell you when you guys are good.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for Sean is what he was able to do with Bo Nix. And I think, again, he put a system that Bo Nix felt comfortable with, utilized his athleticism, did a lot of rolling out of the pocket. Bo Nix bought into it, and he was very decisive in his decision-making. But let's just also talk what Vance Joseph has done with that defense. That, to me, is the other thing that's not gone unnoticed to my mind is that defense can get after you. Zach Allen up front, Benito, and then Patrick Surtain on the back end. They got players at every level right there. So, again, I'm looking forward to that Buffalo matchup next week because they've not faced each other. And these are two quarterbacks that can make plays, extend plays. I think it's a very intriguing matchup.
I am really looking forward to that defense because what Vance Joseph has done, like you said, you mentioned Benito, you mentioned Zach Allen, but they get sacks from so many different guys. I believe at least 15 guys in that defense have gotten a sack this season, which is unbelievable. And then you mentioned Pat Surtain on the back end and those guys back there. It's that rush and coverage working together. Vance Joseph asks his guys to play a lot of man coverage, and they do it so well, which allows your guys up front to eat love playing in
Yeah, something's got to give next week, right?
Yeah.
Because Josh Allen's been excellent all year at not taking sacks, protecting the football, and keeping them on schedule. With the pressure that the Broncos bring, it's going to be interesting to see. Do you pressure a guy? Do you pressure a guy like Josh Allen, who's great at being able to extend plays when there's lanes to move? Coach, you talk about him moving to his right all the time. The other thing is...
Has a good offensive line also.
Very good offensive line, right? And so the other thing is, with all that man-to-man, tight man-to-man coverage, are guys going to be able to hold up long enough against a guy like Josh Allen who loves to extend those plays? It's going to be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, and we look at this version of Josh Allen. You know, he's very mature. He has discernment on when to take off and leave the pocket, when to fight for that first down, and when to give up on the play, most importantly. I think for a long time, Josh struggled with that because it's the gift and the curse of being extremely gifted athletically. He knows that at any moment I could put the cape on and score a touchdown if I need to. But early on in his career, he would extend the play just a little bit too long, and that ball would get loose. There'd be some ill-advised decisions with the ball, turnovers and interceptions. But I think what he's done this year is understood that, you know what, it's okay to punt the ball. It's okay to flip the field and play the field position game and have my defense step up. On the flip side, I'll talk about that Broncos offense. I have to give a shout out to Courtland Sutton.
Yeah.
He's been there as a veteran wide receiver. He's seen the turnaround. Coaching staffs, the executive level. He's seen different quarterbacks come in and play for him. He actually tore his ACL at one point, bounced back, came back stronger. He's had one hell of a season. And when you have a veteran wide receiver, that gives a young quarterback a safety blanket, knowing I got a guy that can always throw to. I know he's going to be exactly where I need him to be, and if it's one-on-one, I'll go up to him. And when you have a vet like that, the young receivers come along. So you look at Mims Jr., what he's been able to do this year.
And if real quickly I can mention, I really appreciate what JJ and Bill were talking about in terms of Vance Joseph and that defense. Not too long ago, he was being skewered. So I appreciate what he's gotten done there. But of course, you mentioned the word maturity, Nate. Look at what young Bo Nix did. Impressive numbers that Matt certainly can talk about all season long. But let's, after the game, listen to the conversation between our Tracy Wolfson and Bo Nix.
What an incredible day. First time the Broncos are in the playoffs since 2015, and you're the first rookie quarterback to take them back there since John Elway. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to this team and this fan base?
Well, it means everything. You know, we worked really hard for this. You know, quite honestly, opening the season, nobody expected us to do this, but, you know, we didn't really listen to that. We just came out there and put a lot of games together, and we've lost a few tough ones, but we've also won some big ones, so this team deserves it.
89.7% completion percentage. You're almost perfect in that first half. How well are you seeing the field right now as you guys head to Buffalo?
Well, I saw it well today, but I'm kicking myself for not being 100. But, you know, it leaves some room for growth, and, you know, it allows you to keep, you know, going back for more. But, you know, I'm just excited about this team. I'm excited about what we've overcome, and we just played really good today.
You guys got it done on both sides of the ball. Now you're headed to Buffalo. Your early thoughts on that one and facing a tough team with Josh Allen?
Yeah, well, they're a really good football team. They've won a lot of games this year. Josh is obviously a really good player. You know, he's had a really good season. But, you know, we're excited about the opportunity. And, you know, it's playoff football time.
Thanks a lot. Congratulations. Enjoy this.
Thanks. Go Broncos.
I can't help but think the amount of time that he spent in college and all the experience that he had, the number of games that he played in, didn't help him, you know, for this season, right? And kind of riding the highs and the lows, having to transfer, go to a new place, do all of those things. I think that really helped him in terms of his rookie season. His ability to move is probably as good as anybody else, right? We talk about Jaden Daniels, what he does running the football, getting outside the pocket. Bo Nix is extremely athletic. His efficiency passing, the completion percentage, we talked about only 3 incompletions today. It's outstanding from a young player. They're going to need that from him, right? He's going in now to playing the very best of the best in the AFC against Buffalo in Buffalo. He's going to need to be really, really solid when they go up there to Buffalo. But I think he can do it. You never know.
And I'll add to that. You know, he's a great example of what a guy needs to do when the criticism comes, which is muting all of the noise. And I have to be honest, like, I might have been one of the guys up here early on in the season saying their passing game doesn't scare me. I'm not sure the Broncos have enough in the air to beat teams down the line. And I was wrong. But what he didn't listen to me. He didn't listen to people that will criticize him. You have to hyper-focus on the voices that matter. You listen to your head coach. You listen to your team, because every single week, the guys were saying, Bo's our dude. we're good. We're good to go. And that young man, week after week, not only understood the system, like Matt is saying, from what he what he did in college, being able to adapt to different game plans as he changed places, but he also learned how to lean on his own skill set. So once he improved in the passing game, he was like, oh, let me remind you that I'm also a superb athlete. And I can be a dominant runner with the football when I leave the pocket. And then all of a sudden, midway through the season, he combines the two. Let me use my legs to expand these plays and watch these explosive passes start to happen when my wide receivers are running on scramble drills. That's part of their game plan now, which is why this team is really confident on offense.
And I think you look at the two quarterbacks that are in the playoffs, Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix, 5-year guys in college.
Yep.
Their maturity level's up there to the point where it's not too big for them. And they're able to handle the sophistication of the next level because they were in different systems and they developed in different skill sets.
Yep.
And they went to different schools at a very high level. So the 5-year player, which I think is, I would say, encourage players to stay in school because your maturity allows you to go to the next step and maybe able to embrace it and have a little bit more success. You get here too young, it can be overwhelming. It can set you back, a setback you may never recover from.
It could be over before it gets started.
Yeah.
You guys covered everything with the Broncos. All I want to say is those should be their full-time uniforms.
Yeah. Those uniforms are
Hey, the common thread by both squads mentioned by you guys, Dan Quinn, of course, with Washington, clearly Sean Payton with Denver. Talk about experience, talk about maturity. Sean Payton addressing his team after the game.
It's pretty amazing when the right group of people come together. And I want to say one thing that's real important. Don't you ever forget it. Young and hungry is dangerous. And you're one of the youngest teams in the NFL. Young and hungry is dangerous. All right, don't you forget that.
You know, one thing about Sean Payton, he's loving right now and molding this football team. You talk about creating culture. Having success early gives you credibility to stand up there and ask them to do things maybe they don't understand, to make the sacrifices, to make the commitment, to understand what's in front of you, and think that, you know what, there's nothing we can't accomplish. Because you're all the things that you can't do as a rookie quarterback, all the things we can't do as a Denver Broncos. But you know what? Allow that to be the fuel that's going to light the fire and take it to the next level.
Am I tripping, or was it a little cloudy?
Some low-altitude clouds. There's some low-altitude clouds. There's some Denver.
I know it was a big win, but they celebrated too early. I know cannabis is legal out there in Denver. Now I'm joking. All jokes aside,
I'm going to change topic.
No. Congrats to them, though. I mean, for them to have a young quarterback who looks like the future of this organization, it's one hell of an accomplishment. And what's not lost in this is, as they celebrate the birth of a playoff, is that they might also have Rookie of the Year in Bo Nix. I know Jaden Daniels is going to raise his hand because they're both having great seasons, but, I mean, you got to pat those guys on the back.
I'd add one thing to what Sean Payton said. Young and hungry is dangerous, but when you combine that with an experienced head coach, you've got a roster that's young and hungry and a guy that knows how to do it, calling the shots. That adds to the danger.
That's definitely something that you need, is that person to reel all of that in, because there are times where it is easy to get high or it's easy to get too low, but you need a coach who can handle that. I think that's why Dan Quinn has been successful in Washington. I think that's why Sean Payton's having success there.
Yeah.
So it's, for all these coaches, I mean, tomorrow's obviously a big day, but there's a lot of decisions being made and people pointing at these jobs saying, we can turn things around.
So Nate Burleson obviously was referencing the fact that they do play at Mile High. All right, and we were talking about here, Chargers and the Raiders. You know what? Bill Cowher talked glowingly about the job that Jim Harbaugh was going to do. Folks, he has done just that. After the game, it was Jim Harbaugh talking with his squad.
We are moving on. Yes, sir. Onwards and upwards to the playoffs. Be in Houston next Saturday or Sunday. Give each other a high five.
Hey, give me a high five.
Bring in a high five back. There we go.
Come on, let's go. You know, the one thing about Jim Harbaugh, you talk about unbridled energy and sometimes unbridled subjects. You talk about sometimes he just kind of goes off. But, you know, there's something genuine about him. He's got a passion for the game, loves ball, as he'll tell you. I just love ball. He'll compare it to every element of life. And you know what? As you can see in there, the guy can resonate with you. He can unite people. He brings people back. Keeps things simple. Jim Harbaugh just keeps everything pretty simple in front of you. And I think that you can see right now, listen, Justin Herbert, that defense, again, another team in the AFC, if you're not playing your best football, they're gonna surprise you.
It's hard for a new coach to come in with that type of enthusiasm and the team actually buy what you're selling. Yeah. It's a lot harder. You know, people question whether that type of attitude would work with guys that are making millions of dollars. Well, you know what? He's proof that if you're authentic enough, it will work. Because the key word is authentic. A lot of coaches come in and they fake it, and vets know, no, he's not being real with us. But Harbaugh is definitely one of those real ones.
You're 100% right. He has shown it time and time again to these guys on a day in, day out basis. He's in there working out with them. He's out there doing squats after practice. Everything is with the enthusiasm unknown to mankind. But that's who he is. That's why it works.
And his track record of turning places around speaks for itself.
True. That's where I was going to. You know what? Because you guys, JJ was looking at where Theo was giving him this beef jerky from. You guys check everything out. When they check Jim Harbaugh's resume out, they know it is legit, and they knew that coming in, right, Nate?
Right about that,
folks. AJ is still good. Hey, folks, and the State Farm postgame show continues after this.
Time now to get more with Geico. Here's the Geico play of the day.
In Nashville, the Texans' Dameon Pierce takes the handoff. He goes 92 yards to pay dirt. Dameon will beat the Titans' Darryl Worley and Mike Brown on the play. That was the longest rushing touchdown of the season. In the NFL, Joe Mixon could not contain his excitement for his fellow running back.
For savings and service, get more with Geico.
And a reminder, coming up at 8:20 Eastern over on NBC, the Vikings visit the Lions with the NFC's top seed on the line. And also tonight on CBS, don't miss Hollywood's biggest party. That will be Nikki Glazer hosting the Golden Globes live right here on CBS. As we turn now and welcome in our NFL Today insider, that would be Jonathan Jones with the latest.
So, JB, the New England Patriots fired Gerard Mayo, one and done. And this goes back, let's go back to 2019. Gerard Mayo and Robert Kraft, they went together on a trip to Israel. And that is where Robert Kraft said, there's something about this guy, this coach. And then in the 2022 season, there were some other teams that were requesting permission to talk with Gerard Mayo. And he said, no, I have to keep this guy. So they wrote into Gerard Mayo's contract in 23 saying he's the coach in waiting. This is a huge admission of a mistake by Robert Kraft, who over the last month or so realized that things weren't getting better. There was a lack of preparation and execution going on with his team. So who to look for next? Mike Vrabel. He's in the Patriots Hall of Fame. He's a top candidate. We've been talking about him for weeks. He could return to New England. If he does, look for him to bring a personnel guy with him, perhaps Ryan Cowden, who was with him in Tennessee. Also, some other places that we're keeping an eye out as Black Monday starts to roll in here. The Jacksonville Jaguars heading back home right now. Will Shad Khan make a move on head coach Doug Peterson and GM Trent Baalke tonight or tomorrow? Elsewhere, we're looking at the Giants and Brian Daboll. The lean right now is John Mara sticks with Daboll. Dallas, it's going to be a while, I believe, before Jerry Jones ultimately makes a decision on Mike McCarthy. Now, let's look at the draft, the future of a few teams. The Tennessee Titans have locked in the #1 overall pick in April's draft. They need a quarterback. Well, you're picking #1. You can get a quarterback. The Cleveland Browns at #2. Yes, they have Deshaun Watson for next year. They're not sure about his availability for week 1. They are absolutely going to be in the market for a quarterback. And then at #3, of course, the Giants coming in, filling out that top 5. You have the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jaguars, JB.
Jonathan, thank you so very much. Hey, Bill, as I turn to you, look, obviously Hall of Fame credentials, but also think about you being routinely called into the Allen and Company leadership meetings, some of the global best leaders around. Talk about what it takes to get it done. And is 1 year enough in the NFL?
Well, to answer your question, the second part of that question, 1 year, no. I think it's an admission that you didn't get the right guy the first time, because particularly a first-time head coach. And I think when you vet someone, you go into that and you go through the interview process, it's very important that you are yourself. And it's very important that they understand who you are on all elements of life, because you are a leader of men. It's not what you know about football. It's not what you maybe know X's and O's. It's about being able to galvanize people, to bring people together, to be able to have a vision, to be able to delegate but also intervene when you have to intervene, to have enough knowledge about everything that's taken place, and to be able to also then be able to compartmentalize your responsibilities as you go through that. And it does take time. If you've never done it before, there's no manuscript you get to do it. You learn sometimes, you make mistakes along the way. So if there was a breakdown in communication, to me, that's also at the top. I mean, as you're a coach, you're into it. You're not sure what you should be doing. Oh, maybe I should be meeting with the owner or the GM and letting them know all the things I'm doing. I would say transparency is very, very important to get to know what the pecking line is, what the protocol is in that building. Who am I to report to? Make sure everybody understands what's going on, why I'm doing it, when I'm doing it, so that no one's being surprised by anything we have. And you have to have a vision and not be afraid to make tough choices and learn from your mistakes.
Very significant input coming from somebody who's been there and knows it. Hall of Fame credentials. Bill, thank you so much. As a matter of fact, I want to hear from J.J. Watt coming up after this, because you know what? There were some questions about DeMeco Ryans, even though he's shown his coaching mettle. Impressive that they got it done today. Here is DeMeco Ryans talking with his squad postgame.
The real season's about to get started. Right now, man, you guys play ball the right way. Love how you guys finish. Excellent job. Now, it's time to go hunt. All right? This is what you play this game for, man, to have an opportunity, all right, to go play in postseason football. And we here. We don't know who we're playing yet. We got to see what happens later in the game, but it really don't matter. All right? We get an opportunity in our house. All right? Our house versus anybody who want it. All right? You guys are built for this. We're ready for it, and I can't wait to see us play next week. And I'm fired up about the opportunity, ready to get started. Love everybody here. Love the work you guys put in. Hey, man, let's keep taking it up. Keep taking it up another notch, another level, everything you got. Right? Win or go home is right here, right now. Let's get it. All right? Let's take a knee. Let's take a knee. Thank the Lord here.
You know, that's a very interesting thing to watch, in my opinion, after talking about Jerod Mayo going into his first year, not having a great year and being let go. And teams look at a coach like DeMeco Ryans, who came into a situation in Houston where things were not good when he got there. They draft C.J. Stroud. They win the division 2 years in a row right out of the gate. So it's those situations that lead other organizations to look and say, we can do that, but we just didn't. So I'm going to move on quickly and try and get to the next one. And I personally, I know they've gone through some struggles this year, but I have to give a ton of credit to DeMeco and that Houston Texans organization. 2 in a row, coming off of what they have been going through and the way that they do it, the toughness, the physicality. It's a lot of fun to be a Houston Texans fan, and I enjoy watching. I'm looking forward to seeing this playoff.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Coach, you were talking about it today. You loved what the Texans did today. Their offense got out there. They went right down the field. They got points on the board. They got out. They got some guys to rest, to stay healthy, but go into the postseason with a positive taste in their mouth. Yeah. They're going to need it. Their pass game has not been up to the standard that they set last year, right? Yeah. This second half of the season, it hasn't been clicking for them. Yeah. That's not to say they can't get it clicking, because C.J. Stroud has proven he can play in these big moments. Nico Collins, back fully healthy, ready to roll. They're going to need that pass game to go outpace the Los Angeles Chargers.
And some of those inconsistencies came with injuries to that passing game. I will say this, though. They're 1-5 against teams that made the playoffs this season. Now, I'm not saying that to rain on their parade. I'm saying it's time to hit the reset button, because who cares what your record was against guys or teams who made the postseason. It is time for you to go 0-0, walking into the playoffs, and show everybody who you are.
Let me just tag the leadership conversation that both J.J. Watt and you, Bill Cowher, were having. You know what? You can't expect what you don't inspect, and that means some self-introspection as well in terms of leadership. The Roonies have gotten it right. 3 coaches in 52 years. They don't go with the fads. They go for leadership principles, and that's what needs to be.
And when you're in that position, you got to be a good listener.
Absolutely.
Be a good listener and be able to also look in the mirror yourself and get a little bit better each and every day.
It's like being in a relationship.
Yeah, you know,
this guy, folks, and the NFL playoffs kick off Saturday with Wild Card Weekend powered by Verizon. 12 teams, 6 games, 3 days, one epic weekend. The road to Super Bowl 59 starts right here. We ask you to stay tuned after the games today for the announcement of the full schedule. Our coverage begins on Saturday and Sunday with the NFL Today. I would say, Nate, you can shout us out, but guess what? We'll see you next week right here on CBS.